Hi, welcome to our channel of IGNOU Audiobooks, Indira Gandhi National Open University School of Journalism and New Media Studies, SOJNMS. Postgraduate Diploma in Advertising and Integrated Communication, PGDAIC. Semester 2, MNM 025 Online Brand Management. Block 1 Introduction to Brand Management. Unit 1 Branding, Image, Quality or Packaging. Every product has its own distinct characteristics and looks that differentiate them from each other. Our purchase decision depends on these characteristics of products. These unique aspects define the identity of the product. For example, when you buy salt from the market, you look for IODIZED, free-flowing salt. Tata Salt is popular as Desh Ka Namak. This is the process of creating a brand. When this salt fulfills the purpose that it defines in its identity, and you get the same product that the company claimed in its marketing tactics, it builds an image in the minds of its customers. In this unit, we will first understand the difference between a product and a brand, then explore the branding process, how brand identity is created, its structure, dimensions and models for defining a brand identity. Further, we would comprehend relationship between brand awareness, brand image and how is it different from brand identity. 1.1 Learning Outcomes. After working through this unit, you should be able to why understand the difference between a product and brand. Why define brand and know the process of branding? Why explain brand identity and the ways to form a brand identity? Why comprehend the dimensions of brand identity? Why know the concept of the brand image, and why differentiate between brand identity and brand image? 1.2 Difference between product and brand. Product is the basic solution provided for problem. It is the bundle of benefits provided by marketers to satisfy a need. But all products are not brands. Can we differentiate a product from a brand? Is there a difference between an ordinary product and a branded product? Generally, people use products and brands interchangeably, but a product is a mere commodity offered in the market by a company with certain benefits, promises, and assurance. For buying products, like bathing soap, one can buy brands like Lifebuoy, Dove, Dettol, Lux, or Margo. For clean water, brands like Livpur, Eureka, Aquaguard and many other multiple brands are available. Let's just put down our thoughts on the products related to personal hygiene offered by the brand Dettol. The core benefit is to provide protection against germs which can cause infection and illness and be 100% sure. It is thus an assurance, a commitment to the customers. These taglines may define the brands by words, but a brand is built by actions and whatever it does and all the knowledge it delivers. There are three aspects of a brand. Why? The first aspect is when the product carries a logo, color, look, feel, packaging known as the visual identity of the brand. Why? Another aspect is the promise, commitment, and assurance known as the core benefits offered by the brand. For example, the brand Lifebuoy provides 99.9% germ-free protection. Why? The third aspect is the core value-based mission, such as to alleviate diseases from lack of hygiene in developing countries. These three aspects assist in giving a product a different story in comparison to its competitive brands selling the same product. Hence, we can conclude, products are made in a factory, but brands are created in the mind. 1.3 Defining a brand. Till now we have discussed how a product is different from a brand. It is thus clear that a simple product can become a brand when it has a compelling story to tell which may inspire the customers to get associated with it. Consequently, it may also result in expansion of business through further acceptance of the other products that fall under the same brand. According to Tom Goodwin, brands are essentially patterns of familiarity, meaning, fondness, and reassurance that exist in the minds of people. Brands build up a set of complex symbols that represents a variety of ideas and attributes. Gardner term, sign, symbol, or design, or a combination of them, intended to identify the goods and services of one seller or group of sellers and to differentiate them from those of competition. 1.3.1 Characteristics of brand. A brand is what can differentiate itself from the crowd. There can be 6 levels of meaning that a brand, Kotler, 1996, a brand can differentiate itself based on 3 forms of values. They are functional values that define the product performance and the rationale behind making a purchase. The expressive values explain the self-image customers see with that brand. The central values which define the belief system of the brand as being honest, ethical, etc. A brand thus is the powerhouse that strengthens the position of the product in the market. 1.4 What is branding? In the words of Russell L. Hanlon, CEO, Sunkist growers, and orange is just an orange unless it happens to be a Sunkist, a name 80% of consumers know and trust. Branding can be defined as the process of researching and analyzing your product, defining its key characteristics, and highlighting its unique selling proposition to distinguish a product from its competitors. It is a way to form a true representation of a brand to be perceived in the same way by its customers. So, when you buy a Coca-Cola drink, you open happiness and taste the feelings. When one must make a purchase decision, brand plays a key role as the deciding factor. Branding can give the color, tone, and look to give a face to the product. It builds an identity of the products, services, and organizations which is known as brand identity. 1.5 Brand identity. Think of yourself as a person with a certain identity. What do you think your identity gives you? Does it provide you with a purpose and meaning in your life? What are your core values? How do you want the people to perceive you? What are the personality traits that you need to project to be accepted by the people? What all relations are important for you? Think of a product and imagine how providing it an identity can help that product. An identity can provide a structure and meaning to a brand. Customers associate with a particular brand over other products, and when that brand is able to live up to the promise and expectations of its customers, maybe in terms of quality, quantity, or any other intangible benefits that can help in developing an identity of its own. Thus, an identity can help to establish a relationship between the brand and the customer by generating a value proposition involving functional, emotional, or self-expressive benefits. Aka DA, 2002. A brand is different from a product and encompasses the values, promises, or commitments that are made. To build or maintain a brand, firstly, it is important to define its identity. For this, we should start asking the brand, who are you? What can define you? Answering these questions can help in giving a shape to a brand's identity, giving the brand direction, meaning, and uniqueness. When you have a clear brand identity, you have a stronger chance of creating a strong brand and its brand personality. Brand creation makes it easy for the brand to operationalize. Brand identity is a set of unique associations in terms of values and beliefs that are defined and created by the brand owner, answering the question, who is the brand, in order to establish the right relationships with the right customers. So, brand identity is who the brand is if seen as an independent identity. Let us analyze all the non-alcoholic beverages offered by the Coca-Cola company. They are Thumbs Up, Fanta, Sprite, Coke, Diet Coke. They all are brands from the same company, yet each of these brands are uniquely presented by the company. What distinguishes one from another is known as its brand's identity. Thus, the brand identity conveys the individuality and distinctiveness of the brand to the relevant public. 1.5.1 Brand identity structure. Brand identity can be seen in two facets. Facet 1 is known as the core identity, and Facet 2 is known as the extended or visual identity. As the name suggests, core identity signifies the core, the central fundamental principle, timeless essence of the brand. It can also be called the DNA of the brand. It defines the brand as it is. This part consists of values, principles, and associations that do not change even with the changing times or when the brand explores new product lines or regions. Let's take the example of popular antiseptic brand, Savlon. The immediate thought that comes to our mind is that of an antiseptic liquid that does not hurt while healing wounds and has a better smell, which is its core identity. A core identity thus forms the foundation of a brand. However, without the second facet, a brand identity is incomplete. Facet 2 is known as the extended or visual brand identity. This part includes a logo, the color, the look and feel of the brand. Even if there are two products from the same company, they can still have two different core and visual identities. For example, Fanta and Sprite are both beverages from the same company, Coca-Cola. Fanta, an orange-colored drink, presents a sense of playfulness, and the current logo is more Fanta, less serious, whereas Sprite, the green color one, wants you to stay simple, honest, and straightforward, and the slogan is Seedhi Baat, no bakwas. This difference between their core identities is extended through their visual identities via the logo and packaging. Therefore, the core identity is what the product is, whereas the visual identity is what it looks like. An extended identity is therefore an extended representation of the core of the brand. To better understand the relationship between the core identity facet and extended identity facet, try comparing two competitive brands for any specific need. 1.5.2 Who defines the brand identity? As the name suggests, the identity is meant to be created by the organization itself. Core identity is the fundamental aspect of a brand identity. Therefore, the onus of creating it lies within the organization, the management team of the brand. The creators of the brand are those people who can provide clarity in terms of what brand values, beliefs, purposes, etc. are. They carry the duty and obligation of ensuring a clear brand definition. Consultants can be hired for the process, but the core brand identity should be defined internally. The extended or the visual identity can be outsourced if required for creativity and to give a professional outlook to the product or the service. Once the core identity has been defined and clearly articulated, external agencies such as advertising firms, brand consultants, and visual identity designers can be employed to bring your core identity vision to life through visual representation. Defining a core identity is a challenging task and often takes a long time to be articulated before moving on to giving your brand a visual look and feel. Activity 1. Analyze the core and the visual identity of all the hair care brands from Procter & Gamble Corporation. 1.6 Brand and personality. People relate to the brands the same way they relate to humans. Every individual has some personality traits, character, and attributes. In a similar fashion, brands too can be defined through their character attributes and human traits. In the words of Scott Talgo, brand strategist, a brand that captures your mind gains behavior. A brand that captures your heart gains commitment. Brand personality thus can be defined as the set of human characteristics associated with a given brand. Aka J.L., 1997. A brand can also have a gender, age, and socioeconomic class and other human traits like warmth, concern, and sentimentality. Aka D.A., 2002. Brand personality is not a celebrity who is endorsing a brand but is the intangible aspects that are fused into the brand. To ensure relevance and consistency with its audience, it is a mandate for a brand to have a personality, and so human traits are assigned to a brand. The question is, how shall we choose the personality traits of our brand? 1 way is to randomly decide the brand as classy, reliable, rugged, fancy, etc. The other way is to apply the 5-dimensional model of brand personality by Jennifer Aka, Aka J.L., 1997. The 5 dimensions are: look at the screen. It is not necessary that a brand can only manifest just one of these dimensions, but it can be designed to manifest a combination of these dimensions. For example, a thumbs up is not only high in the dimension of excitement but also in the dimension of ruggedness. Similarly, Ariel is not only high on competence but also on sincerity. Hence, brand personality, just like humans, is a combination of various personality traits in different proportions. 1.6.1 Why use brand personality? Constructing a brand personality helps the strategist in enriching the understanding of the attitude and viewpoint of the consumer towards the brand. A brand personality thus can a. Develop an understanding of the brand. It acts as a metaphor and helps in developing a viewpoint towards our brand to define the relationships and feelings for the brand. B. Meaningful differentiation. By defining a brand personality, it is easier for brands to be defined not just in terms of their attributes but also in class, context, and experience. Aka D.A., 2002. C. Communication support. Defined personality traits can support advertising as well as the other marketing communication functions. By choosing the personality type, it can support the packaging as well as the promotion aspect of the brand. A brand personality statement makes it easy to put the targeted communication efforts. When you assign distinct personality traits to your brand, you will be able to set the tone of all the brand communications going forward, and brand personality is subsumed in brand identity. 1.7 Models of brand identity. To define the term brand identity, there are a couple of frameworks that can help you define your brand's identity. 1. David Aka's model, and 2. Kapfara's brand prism. 1.7.1 David Aka model. This is one of the simplest yet important frameworks to ensure a brand has a texture and depth. According to this model, brand identity, both core and extended, is centered around 4 perspectives. 1. Brand as a product. 2. Brand as an organization. 3. Brand as a person. And 4. Brand as a symbol. These perspectives can guide a brand strategist in considering the different brand essentials and designs to assist in differentiating an identity. Look at the screen. Figure 2. Aka's brand identity perspectives. Brand as a product. We have already understood the difference between the product and brand. When we design brand identity, one of the important key thrust areas is the product. Product attributes that are directly related to the purchase decisions or use of the product experience can provide functional and emotional benefits to the customers. So, when you take the perspective of the brand as a product, the goal of linking the brand with the product category is to help customers recall the brand when the product category is mentioned and not necessarily the other way around. For example, when you think of bottled mineral water, the default brand which comes to your mind is Bisleri. Whenever we demand a detergent, we end up asking for Surf, as if the brand is the product itself. So, in the product perspective of brand, the identity is based on the product scope, attributes, quality, uses, users, and country of origin. When there is a strong link to a product class means that the brand will be recalled when the product class is skewed. Brand as an organization, this perspective focuses on the company's or organization's attributes and not on the product. Attributes like innovation, drive for quality, environmental concerns, and other attributes such as local or global operations, the trustworthiness of the organization, transparency and social responsibility initiatives created by the people, employees, the values, the culture, and the program of the organization. Thus, it consciously involves incorporating organizational attributes into the branding process. When a brand integrates the organization's attributes, it gets a unique perspective in comparison to other brands that may share the same product attributes. Also, the company's attributes are more applicable to a complete product line rather than to just one product, and so a competitor can compete only in one category. Thirdly, the organizational concern for the environment, consumers, and may have a local approach. For example, Tata Motors puts vocal for local stickers on all its cars, which can gain respect and admiration for the brand. Examples include conglomerates such as Tata Group, Walt Disney, and Reliance Industries. Brand as a person, when you define human traits as being competent, interesting, fun-loving, cheerful, intellectual, or trustworthy in a brand as part of the brand identity, the brand then can be defined as a person. This helps customers to form a stronger bond with your brand as they can easily relate to it as a person than just a product. Defining the qualities like a human creates the brand as self-expressive and makes it easier for customers to associate the brand with their personality. The other benefit of defining a personality to a brand is that it can be the reason for forming relationships between the consumer and the brand. Some common examples can be presence of Old Man, founder Mahashaya Dharampalji, in MDH logo, mascot, conveying the unwavering commitment to product, quality, innovation and taste, Sandeep Goyal, 2020. Also, a personality can even contribute to the functional benefits of the brand. Research shows that if a consumer's personality matches the brand's, they are more likely to buy the product. For example, Mr. Muscle Kitchen Cleaner shows ruggedness and is known for the science of tough cleaning. Brand as a symbol, visual aspects like having a symbol can provide a structure to a brand. Symbols can be anything that can represent a brand and can become an important part of identity. A Nike swoosh or Lacoste alligator are the symbols that provide structure to a brand identity, making it easier to recall and thus makes a brand more powerful. There are different ways of approaching a brand as a symbol. 1. Through visual imagery, e.g., McDonald's golden arches make the brand powerful and memorable. 2. Also, through metaphors, e.g., Rin shows a lightning bolt, Seat Tires their old logo showed a rhino, and the tagline was bold tough, meant to represent a self-expressive benefit. 3. The brand heritage. The value attributed to the Amul brand comes from its heritage. It has touched millions of people and has captured Indian sentiments in all its communications. A touch of a vivid and meaningful legacy can add an essence to a brand. So, with the ARCA model, when you want to create your brand's identity, you should consider these 4 perspectives and must ensure that the core traits of the product are highlighted. 1.7.2 Kapfara's brand identity prism. Strong brands are capable of weaving all aspects of the prism into an effective whole to create a concise, clear, and appealing brand identity. Kapfara. 1992. In 1996, Jean-Noël Kapfara conceptualized the 6 elements of brand identity divided into 2 dimensions known as the brand identity prism. It is a diagrammatical representation of presenting a way to build a strong brand identity. The prism discusses the way these elements relate to each other and can help in making a business communicate more transparently and be recognized. Kapfara's brand identity prism is divided into two dimensions. First dimension, sender versus receiver. While putting together brand elements, it is significant to see the brand as a person as well as the typical user. The brand is seen both as the sender and the target customer as the receiver. Second dimension, externalization versus internalization. A brand has both internal and external aspects. Internal elements can be in line with the organizational culture and integrity which are incorporated into the brand itself. The external can be defined as the impression that the brand has on its consumers. Look at the screen. Figure 3, Kapfara's brand identity prism. Based on these two dimensions, the brand identity prism has 6 elements or facets that include 1. Physique. It can be defined as the underlying physical attributes of the brand. Kapfara is referring to the extended or the visual identity as the physique. In other words, what image does come to our mind when you think of the brand? For example, the Pear's soap, the color, its uniquely designed shaped, translucent look makes the physique. Similarly, the blue and green color of Vicks Vapor Rub. This element of brand identity in the prism explains the physical appearance, the visual or extended look. Considering dimension 1, this is on the side of the sender as to how the brand strategist wants its brand to look and be felt. On the part of dimension 2, it is a part of externalization where and how the people see it. 2. Personality. It is like character building. This aspect of a brand helps you answer the question if the brand was a human being, what he or she would be like. One way of giving a personality, as discussed earlier, is by giving a figure or spokesperson. In the dimension of sender versus receiver, personality is also from the sender's side but is an internalized aspect of the brand identity. 3. Relationship. This side is about planning the type of relationship the brand would have with its customers. How would your brand engage with your customers? How would the brand treat the customers? Will the brand be very friendly, caring, or will the brand have a transactional relationship? Will the relationship be one-sided? Can customers co-create? So, this side of the prism is about predefining the relationship your brand would have with the customers. For example, Zomato's email marketing strategy is to build a one-on-one relationship with its customers. Even on its hilarious to critical posts, Zomato engaged in conversations to improve its service quality. Similarly, even a local food vendor, though might not ask your opinion or engage in conversation, still you are its end user. But this does not mean that with more interactions you have a better or superior brand. It is just to highlight that at a brand level, even the type of relationships, the nature of relationships that your brand would have with your customers has to be predefined as a part of brand identity. Relationships are the social aspect of the brand identity. 4. Culture. This represents the culture of the brand or the organization. It defines the values and beliefs held by the brand in the organization. According to David Archer, this side can be viewed as a part of the core identity of the brand as well as brand as organizational perspective. In the dimension of internalization vs externalization, we can see that culture is towards internalization and relationships are towards externalization. The culture is the soul, the inner part, the motivation of the brand, that is the core identity. Although the last two elements, reflection and self-image, sound similar, but considering the internalization and externalization aspects, their difference can be easily understood. 5. Reflection. As the name suggests, it reflects the ideal target customers. The brand tries to project and build an image of a stereotypical user of the brand, e.g., we see that the Raymond brand formal wear for men specifically projects the classy, distinguished men in all their brand communication and uses the tagline, the complete man, being used for decades. Let's take another example. W is a women clothing brand with a mission to provide complete wardrobe solutions for the modern women. Today, it is a household name, successfully broke the conventional barriers and became the spirit of functional fashion. Hence, reflection is not just the core product but is the brand identity with the core and the extended elements along with the presentation of the typical consumers for that brand. 6. Self-image. This element relates to the association of the consumer with the brand. In reflection, the brand tries to project an image, but in self-image, the brand wants the customer's perceptions of themselves to be when they use or are associated with the brand. So, for the Raymond brand, men who use its fabric or apparel should feel complete, as the brand's tagline says, Raymond the complete man. Another example is when you drink Red Bull, it would make you feel lighter, as if it gave you wings. So does the man who used Gillette shaving kit feel The self-image that he is using. The best a man can get, personal care product. Similarly for L'Oreal, the self-image is predefined by the brand management team, or the company is self-worthiness. The consumer of L'Oreal should believe it when they buy L'Oreal products, as the brand states, I am worth it. That is self-image, i.e., the image perceived by the consumers when they purchase and consume any brand. Both reflection and self-image are on the side of the receiver in the dimensional axis of sender vs receiver. In the dimension of internalization vs externalization, self-image is towards internalization, and reflection is towards externalization. So, Capera's brand identity prism is more complex and detailed as compared to David Archer's model when crafting the brand identity. While launching a new brand, the marketing strategist needs to consider first both the dimensions, sender versus receiver and externalization versus internalization, and then works on the 6 aspects, which are physique, personality, relationship, culture, reflection, and self-image. Each of these 6 sides needs to be predefined by the brand source, that is the company. 1.8 Brand awareness. Brand awareness is about developing the familiarity with the brand as well as developing strong associations. A. Brand recognition. This aspect of awareness defines the level of familiarity that the consumer can have with the brand due to repeated exposure. It is just that when the buyer goes to a store, is there a chance for him or her to recognize and identify the brand they are exposed to it? B. Brand recall. It is about whether the brand has been able to build a strong association in a certain product category so as when the consumer thinks of a certain product and has been able to recall the particular brand while making a purchase decision. For example, customers may recall Dove soap when they think of a soap that provides soft skin as it claims to have 1/4 moisturizing cream. Once the brand develops a good awareness level, the brand strategist starts emphasizing on crafting a brand image through various marketing communication channels. Remember, a brand is made up of all the elements of the prism, and these must align and support each other to create the overall brand image. 1.9 Brand image. Brand image can be defined as a set of associations relating to things like product attributes, benefits, or price that are organized in meaningful ways. Archer D. A. 1991. Brand image can be defined as the way customers perceive your brand. The reflections given by brand associations formed in the consumer's mind defines the brand image. It can be defined as the set of beliefs held by the consumer for a particular brand. The total impressions, overall character, or the personality traits of the brand held in the consumer's minds are regarded as brand image. It is how a particular brand is positioned in the market. So, the perceptions about a brand reflected as associations in the mind of consumers are known as the brand image. Keller, 1993. It is hard to have complete control over this aspect since the brand image is influenced by numerous other external factors. Brand associations, brand judgments, and brand feeling are some of the dimensions of brand image. Let us explore these dimensions of brand image. 1.9.1 Brand associations. Brand image is built by creating strong, favorable, and unique brand associations. It can be the attributes, benefits, and attitudes towards a brand. Attributes can be related to the outlook of the brand in terms of size, color, or weight. The other elements that can be related to the personality, say cheerful, rugged, sophisticated, or adventurous. Benefits are need-based. Attitudes are based on the overall assessment of the brand by the customers. Let us now explore a few associations that customers form with the intangible aspect of the brand. 1. User profile, or who is the typical user of this brand. Customers associate brands with their typical users based on gender. When Alia Bhatt in Hero Pleasure ad says, "Why should boys have all the fun?" Meant to put the girls on an even keel with boys. Campaign India 2014, trying to highlight that the product is meant for girls. Similarly, in terms of age, older men wear Raymond. For income, upper middle class drive BMW. 2. Psychographics. Customers form certain associations in their minds for a particular brand. For instance, a user of the brand Fast Track watch tagline "Move On" can be seen as unpredictable, irreverent. A brand that questions everything, pushes boundaries, constantly reinvent. Fast Track was seen as someone who breaks the social norms. 3. Personality. With the right mix of marketing elements, brands can create and convey their personalities to their audience. Users are likely to choose brands that mirror their own personalities. In an Old Spice ad, the tagline says, "Smell like a man, man." shows the persona as being tough and masculine but humorous at the same time. So, it is important to pick your target audience wisely. 4. Heritage. Brand heritage can be formed through iconic events in the brand's history. For instance, luxury brands like Gucci create a narrative around their heritage and history. Gucci first launched with its tagline, "Quality is remembered long after price is forgotten." Similarly, Pepsi in India has consistently and over the years been associated with cricket matches. Brand image is how customers see the brands, how they perceive the brand, and the brand associations help in creating the strong points of difference. So, now let us take a close look at brand judgment. 1.9.2 Brand judgment. People form personal opinions and evaluations of the brand based on its performance and the imagery that it projects. The customers make all kinds of judgments on the brands. Broadly, the different judgments fall under 4 categories. 1. Brand quality. Customers form attitudes based on their overall assessment of the brand, and this results in their brand choice. To put it simply, the customer evaluates a brand based on how closely it matches the ideal traits it should have. For example, Apple is known for high-quality innovative products. Every product from the Apple company, regardless of the brand, is expected to be of high quality. This is the brand association, the brand judgment it forms. 2. Brand credibility. Customers do not just evaluate the brand, they evaluate the company behind the brand. It is the company perceived to be an expert in the industry. Can it be trusted to deliver on its promises consistently? Customers analyze the credibility of the brands based on 3 dimensions. I. Brand expertise. Is the brand a market leader and an ultimate solution provider? Is it innovative and competent? E. Brand trustworthiness. Can I depend on the brand? Does it keep my interest? How dependable and trustworthy the brand is? E. Brand likability. Is the brand interesting, creates fun? Is my time worth spending with the brand? Customers thus analyze the intentions and evaluate the brand in terms of their concern towards its customers and see whether the brand is pleasant, warm, or likable. 3. Brand consideration. While brand quality and credibility are important to measure, but they don't necessarily mean much unless the customer considers your brand at the time of making purchase decisions. So, all communication efforts should be in the direction of forming a strong association with your brand so that it can be considered a relevant and legitimate choice. 4. Brand superiority. How does your brand stand out? The superiority of a brand depends on the extent when the brand is seen not just different, but better than the other brands. For building a strong relationship with your customer, it is important for a brand to evaluate the level of unique associations it offers to its customers. If one brand is better than the other brands, the customer may even look for what your brand offers in comparison to similar brands. 1.9.3 Brand feelings. As the name suggests, customers also connect emotionally with the brands. When brand judgments are made logically, brand feelings are evoked emotionally. Brands answer the following questions in catering to brand feelings. What type of feelings has my brand been able to arouse in my customers? Through its marketing communication efforts, has my brand been able to affect the customer's relationships with others and feelings about themselves? For example, Mohe, from the brand Manyavar campaign during the wedding season on #Dulhan Wali feeling, with Alia Bhatt as their brand ambassador, tried to capture the Dulhan Wali feeling to perfection. It tried to bring out all the emotions that a woman goes through effectively, from shy to nervousness to gay abandon, from some gleeful giggling to some serious moments filled with doubts and apprehensions. The Times of India, 2019. With more and more brands attempting to tap the emotional side of the customers, it is useful to understand how to approach your audience. To connect effectively with people, what emotions should we evoke in them? 1. Warmth. Does your brand make your customer feel sentimental and affectionate? For example, the brand Paper Boat consistently utilizes nostalgia in its campaigns to create this feeling of warmth. 2. Fun. Does the brand make the customer feel playful, joyous, light-hearted, and amused? For example, Disney with characters and fun parks can be seen as a fun brand. Also, some brands like Flipkart in their ad campaigns show children dressed up and talking like adults, which amuse the consumers. 3. Excitement. Does the brand energize the customer? An example, MTV brand is associated with youth and is often considered as cool and exciting. 4. Security. Does the brand make the customer feel safe, comfortable, and self-assured? E.g., the Life Insurance Corporation, the Life Insurance of India's tagline, "Your welfare is our responsibility," projects a wholesome and secured image. 5. Social approval. Through the brand, does the consumer receive social validation? The result could be a direct acknowledgement of using your brand. Mercedes-Benz projects the customer as successful and socially approved. 6. Self-respect. Does your brand help the customer feel better about themselves? Is there a sense of fulfillment and accomplishment after using or occupying your brand? Campaign for Real Beauty in 2004 launched by Dove with the tagline "Why you are more beautiful than you think." To make women feel better about themselves. Jessica Gross. 2013. 1.10 Difference between brand image and brand identity. Is the brand image the same thing or is it slightly different than the brand identity? Can the two terms be used interchangeably? In the words of David Archer, brand identity is the brand image trap. Let's first understand the difference between brand identity and brand image. Look at the screen. Brand identity thus answers why what the brand wants to communicate. Why what attributes, personalities and attitudes should the consumer form about the company irrespective of the outcome? Whereas, the brand image is the outcome, the end result, the perception that they consumers form about the brand. Brand identity is controlled and attempted to align with the image the consumers hold in their minds. Check your progress. 3. Note 1. Use the space below for your answers. 2. Compare your answers with those given at the end of this unit. 1.11 Summary. Every product has its own distinct characteristics and looks that differentiate them from each other. A simple product can become a brand when it has a compelling story to tell which may inspire the customers to get associated with it. A brand is what can differentiate itself from the crowd. There can be 6 levels of meaning that a brand is able to deliver. They are attributes, benefits, values, culture, personality, and the user. Branding can give the color, tone, and look to give a face to the product. It builds an identity of the products and services as well as of the organization known as brand identity. Brand identity can convey the individuality and distinctiveness of the brand to the relevant public. People relate to the brands the same way they relate to humans. Every individual has some personality traits, character, and attributes. In a similar fashion, brands too can be defined through their character attributes and human traits. There are 5 dimensions of brand personality: sincerity, excitement, competence, sophistication, and ruggedness. To define brand identity, there are a couple of frameworks that can help you define your brand's identity. 1. David Archer's model and 2. Kapfara's brand prism. Brand awareness is about developing familiarity with the brand as well as developing strong associations. Once the brand could develop a good awareness level, the brand strategist can lay emphasis on crafting a brand image. Brand identity is controlled and attempts to align with the image that the consumer holds in their minds. Thank you for listening. We will be back with the next chapter.